Today we are going to start the other approach of consumer behavior. In our previous lesson we were talking about law of diminishing marginal utility and law of equal marginal utility in order to explain the consumer behavior, in which we said that utility can be made in terms of numbers. But today's approach is that it is called ordinal approach. Ordinal approach says that utility cannot be measured in terms of numbers because it is inner satisfaction and there is no scale of measurement of satisfaction or utility. Alright, so now this approach says consumers can rank the goods according to the satisfaction derived. For example, if a consumer ranks this thing that he prefers burger over chicken and then so on, so it means burger gives the consumer more satisfaction than chicken. So this is his ranking, because when we are going to buy something, we do not buy everything present in the market. We buy those goods which we prefer. Clear? And they are also affordable to us within our income. So definitely consumers, they make their scale of preferences. Okay, which good will give them more satisfaction and it is beneficial to them, then they are going to make a scale of preferences. Alright. So according to this approach, we cannot measure utility or satisfaction in terms of numbers. Rather, we can rank the goods according to the satisfaction derived. Now, what is the meaning of indifference curve? Or what is the meaning of being indifferent? For example, here I said when burger gives more satisfaction to the consumer than chicken, so he or she will prefer burger over chicken. But sometimes you go to any of the fast food chain, maybe KFC or McDonald's, you look over there, there are two types of deals. One is including burger, another is including the chicken pieces. You are having fixed income in your pocket, so what happens? You think both the deals, they are equally preferred to you because their satisfaction level to you remains same. What do you mean? If you are buying chicken, fried chicken or a burger, both are equally good to you. You are becoming just indifferent which one to buy. Indifference means what? Indifferent means what? When consumer is having a situation that the two goods are giving him or her the same level of satisfaction and they are facing a problem that which one to buy. That case is called, like I say, there is a burger deal. Now the consumer is just indifferent between burger and chicken deal. This is the sign of indifferent. Previously, I used the sign of inequality when burger was giving more satisfaction to the consumer than chicken. So when consumer is indifferent, then we say both burger and chicken are giving the consumer equal level of satisfaction and consumer is just indifferent which one to buy. Both are equally preferred. So indifference curve is basically what? Now this is the meaning of indifference. What is the meaning of indifference? So indifference curve that shows us different combinations of two goods consumed which give the consumer equal total utility or satisfaction. Like there are, may I speak about the definition? What is the definition of indifference curve? It shows different combinations of two goods, which give the consumer equal level of total utility or satisfaction. Total utility or satisfaction. Alright? Or different combinations of two goods, they have the same level of total utility along one indifference curve. Or different combinations of two goods or different combinations of two goods, different bundles of two goods, give the consumer equal level of total utility or satisfaction. Along one indifference curve, the satisfaction of the consumer that will remain same. Clear? So now what two goods a consumer is going to consume? One is called food. He is buying food, which is now I am denoting it by X. Another is clothing, that is good Y. So there are different combinations which are available to the consumer. Now I am drawing this thing. Here I am taking X and here I am taking Y. X is food and this is what? Clothing. So this is the indifference curve. This is downward sloping indifference curve. What does it show? Basically, if consumer is here at this point A, he is having more Y and less X. Clear? When he or she moves from A to B, what happens? He is giving up Y to get more X. Is it happening? So what is happening over here? Both the points A and B, they are lying on the same indifference curve. So the satisfaction level at point A and B both are equal. They are equally good if consumer leaves some of Y and gets more of S, but the total satisfaction of consumer is same at 2 points. So as consumer is going on along the indifference curve at point C, he or she is substituting Y with X every time. So more of X and less of Y along one indifference curve. There are different bundles, there are different combinations, but each bundle is equally good to the consumer. Each bundle is having the same level of total utility or total satisfaction. So we say this indifference curve, which is downward sloping, when consumer gets more of one good, he has to give up the other goods. Clear? But the total utility or total satisfaction of the consumer along one indifference curve, that will remain same. Clear? At point, you can say here, you can say this is point D. At D, consumer is having more X and less Y. But again I say, the satisfaction level is again same, whether he stays at A, B, C, D or any point along one indifference curve. Followed my point? So indifference curve is that which shows the consumer preferences. So along one indifference curve, what is happening? The total utility or total satisfaction of consumer will remain same. Followed? What is the meaning of indifference curve over here? Okay. Now, what is happening? Actually, we find there is one indifference curve, there is another indifference curve. There is another indifference curve. We say there is a map of indifference curves. Along this indifference curve, the level of satisfaction remains same, but if he approaches the higher indifference curve, what does it mean? The higher level of indifference curve will have higher level of satisfaction. Along one indifference curve, this indifference curve 1 is having lower level of total utility than indifference curve 2. and even this indifference curve is having further higher level of total utility or satisfaction. So there is a map of indifference curve available to the consumer. Clear? Any higher level of indifference curve will show a higher level of satisfaction, but along single indifference curve, the total satisfaction remains same. Now, which one he is going to consume, or along which indifference curve consumer will consume, that depends upon his affordability and the prices of two goods, which we will study in the next topic of budget line. Right now, we are talking about consumer preferences. We are not talking about the affordability of consumer. What is the affordability of consumer and what are the prices of X and Y? That's another tool. We will be analyzing that by tomorrow, inshallah. That is about the affordability of consumers. That is explained by using budget line. So there is a map. Any higher indifference curve will have higher level of satisfaction. Clear or not? Now I am going to explain another point related to indifference curve. What is that? The slope of indifference curve, and what it is called, and it is negatively sloped, and how slope can be measured. Now see, here I am taking X and Y. This is indifference curve. Is it having constant slope? No. It is not constant. At the start it is steeper and then it becomes flatter. Okay? What happens if consumer moves from point A to B? This is the Y he is going to give up to get this of X. At the start, consumer has to give up more Y to get less of X. Is this rate of substitution? This is what he is doing. He is substituting Y with X. Do you think this rate of substitution remains same along the indifference curve? No. What is happening? If you see over here, now the consumer is getting more X by giving up less of Y. What does it mean? The slope of indifference curve, although it is negatively sloped, negative slope means what? When he increases X, he has to decrease Y. But its slope is diminishing, and here it is a steeper, but here it becomes flatter. Alright? So the slope of indifference curve is called what? Marginal rate of substitution. What is called? Marginal rate of substitution. It is called MRS. What does it mean? MRS means change in Y over change in X. In order to get an extra unit of X, how many units of Y are given up? What is the meaning of MRS? Marginal rate of substitution means to get an extra unit of X, how many units of Y they are given up. Clear? So its slope is equal to minus marginal utility of X over marginal utility of Y. Look here. Here I am taking change in Y in the numerator and change in X in the denominator. But the marginal utility ratio is the reciprocal of this. Alright? Marginal utility of X is in the numerator, whereas the marginal utility of Y is in the denominator. This is how we remember the things. Clear? So it is negatively sloped means what? Any increase in marginal utility of one good will have a decrease in marginal utility of another good. Clear? But the total utility of the two goods, that will remain same. Its slope is diminishing, but the total utility along one indifference curve, that will remain same. If marginality of x is increasing, the marginality of y is decreasing, or marginality of y is increasing, there is decrease in marginality. Whatever the marginality consumer gains in one good, there is a corresponding decline in the marginality of other good, but the total utility will remain same. So its slope is called marginal rate of substitution, and its slope is marginal rate of substitution is diminishing along single indifference curve. Alright? Actually, indifference curve that shows the consumer welfare. What does it show? Consumer welfare. Any higher indifference curve will show the higher level of satisfaction and welfare. Now, another point which I want to explain to you, that two indifference curves do not intersect with each other. What does it mean? The two indifference curves do not intersect with each other. Here I am taking again x and y. This is indifference curve 1. This is indifference curve 2. Alright. Now this point is A, this is point B, and this is point C. This is point A, B and C. If we say this point A is lying along indifference curve 1, this point A is lying along indifference curve 1, it means A and B are having same level of satisfaction. Clear? Because they are lying on same indifference curve. So if we say this point A is along indifference curve 2, so again we will say that A and C are having same level of satisfaction.
Yes.
Okay. Both A and C will also show us the same level of satisfaction. So can we say B and C are also having the same level of total satisfaction? No, because they are lying along two separate indifference curves. Therefore, we say this intersection of indifference curve is not possible. The two indifference curves do not cross with each other, because it does not happen that these points are having the same level of satisfaction. They are lying along two separate indifference curves. So therefore, there is no reason that indifference curves will cross with each other or they will intersect with each other. Each indifference curve can have this type, there is a map, but they do not cross with each other. Followed my point or not, Ji and Meena? नहीं, along one indifference curve total satisfaction high, low level पे भी जा सकता है. If consumer is not affording that level, he will come back to the previous level. But sometimes consumers are reluctant to go to the previous level of consumption. Once we attain a level of welfare, we do not want to go back to our previous level of satisfaction. Suppose a person was using a bike, now he is using a car. Do you think he will come back to again on bike? He does not want to come back. Okay, but he wants to go even on the higher level of satisfaction. If he is using a Mehran car, then he will be trying to have Honda City or Corolla. That's why now he is affording it. So his welfare level of satisfaction level will also increase. Yes.
Certainly higher level of satisfaction of that. Income increase.
Yes. So I will explain it tomorrow how income will affect the. Here I am not talking about consumer equilibrium. All the bundles are equally preferable to the consumer, but on which bundle consumer will consume? Indifference curve alone does not tell us anything about this thing. For that reason, we will be needing the budget line, which we will study tomorrow, inshallah.
Consumption per real higher level.
Yes, exactly. Alright, this is clear now? Yes, with crossing. Two indifference curves do not cross with each other. What does it mean? If we A is lying along indifference curve 1, it means A and B are having same level of satisfaction. So if we suppose A is also lying along indifference curve 2, then A and C are having same level of satisfaction. Can we say B and C are also having same level of satisfaction? No, because they are lying on two separate indifference. That's why indifference curves do not cross with each other. It is not possible that they will cross with each other. Now, this is the normal shape of indifference curve we studied. What is the normal shape of indifference curve? It is downward sloping like this, and it becomes flatter as we move from left to right. It is downward sloping. What about the shape of indifference curve when two goods are substitutes to each other, like tea and coffee? What will be the shape of indifference curve? That comes in the MCQs, that's why I am drawing it. What is the shape of X and Y? Suppose this is coffee and this is tea. Clear? Both goods are substitutes to each other. So the shape of indifference curve will be a straight line downward sloping. Why it is? So where is the solution for the consumer? At one time, consumer is either consuming coffee or he is taking a cup of tea. There is no in-between combination of these two. Can we mix up coffee and tea to drink it? Not at all. So either consumer is here. What is the ultimate situation? He is over here or over here. There is no in-between situation. That's why we say the indifference curve of substitutes, that is a downward sloping straight line, instead of having this curve shaped indifference curve. Followed? So what will be the shape? This is about the substitutes. What about the complements? When goods are the complements to each other, what will be the shape of indifference curve? Look here. Here I say the right shoe and left shoe. We buy these shoes in pair, isn't it? Do we buy only the right shoe or only the left shoe? This is not the case. Here the shape of indifference curve will be like this. And what is the solution? Where consumer will consume? Only at this kink. This is the indifference curve of complements. What do you say? Complements like right shoe and left shoe, they are complementary to each other. So this is the one side of the complement, this is another side. So we buy one and one of the right shoe, right and left shoe. So consumer will only have this solution. It doesn't mean consumer is buying more of right shoe and the same number of left shoe, or more of left shoe and same number of right shoe. It doesn't happen. We have one and one solution to this. So indifference curve of complementary goods, that is like L shape, and consumer will only have this solution. Whereas the indifference curve for substitutes, it is having a constant slope, downward sloping line, where consumer is having a cardinal solution. Either he is going to consume coffee or he is going to consume tea, but not both of them at the same time. Clear? So sometimes these shapes are coming in your MCQs. Okay, that's why I have drawn. They are not given in your book. But the whole topic of indifference curve is that it shows different combinations where total satisfaction of consumer will remain same, and these combinations are that where consumer is just indifferent which bundle to buy, because they are equally preferable. But along one indifference curve, what is he doing? He is substituting one good with another. So indifference curve, normal indifference curve is downward sloping, and what is its slope called? Minor rate of substitution. In order to get an extra unit of X, how many units of Y will be given up? Clear? And its slope is equal to the Moniguchi ratio. Clear? This is about the indifference curve. We have analyzed one thing, one tool of the ordinal approach, how consumers are going to have different preferences, and this scale of preferences can be shown by using an indifference curve. Clear? Thank you.